I'm Divyakshi Satija, like she's already introduced. I'll give you a quick note on myself. I am an ex-investment banker turned venture capitalist for the last 2 years now. I lead investments at Sadev Ventures. We're an early stage micro VC working with the seed and pre-series A startups at the very early stages. And we kind of help them from the 0 to 1 journey. Yeah, we've been doing this for about 2 years now. We've got a strong portfolio of about 25 companies, soon going to be 30. And yeah, that's about me. I think what we'll do now going forward is I'll request each of the panelists here to introduce themselves one by one, and then we'll take it from there. Perfect. You'd like to go first? Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Rishi Chabria. I'm the founder of Arome. We are predominantly a B2B brand based out of Mumbai. We curate signature scent experiences for brands. So whatever you smell when you go to a Taj or a Leela or any of the Accor hotels or the Lemon Trees and Marriott's Four Seasons, the pretty much most of the malls across the country. We curate signature scents of, for brands basis the brand stories.
Hi.
Thanks. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Harshit. I run a startup called Free Culture. We're based out of Delhi. We're a digital first premium innerwear brand. So anything, when it comes to innerwear, unisex, we do that. Already doing it from last 6 years now. Bootstrapped and then raised some funds. And now, very proudly, only digital. We don't do offline much, to be honest. But yeah, I think the next phase is starting is the offline journey now.
Hey, I'm Pratyush. I'm the EVP and sales head at Pine Labs. Pine Labs is a merchant commerce platform, and we do anything around the payments ecosystem, the payments experience, the loyalties, everything, EMI, affordability, that whatever comes to merchants. So when you go out, 1 million+ customers use Pine Labs today. Literally every national account which you can think of, every brand that you can think of. We also do digital payments on omni-channel and everything. So that's about us, 1 million+ visibility points across the country.
Perfect. Thank you so much, all of you. All right, so we really have a strong cross section of industries across all of our panelists today. And it's safe to say that each of them bring hands on experience across brand building, retail operations, payments, and even the omni channel strategy. Cool. So let's begin. And I think just a warm up question to all three of you here would be given that we're talking about going from a D2C, which is direct to customer, to now an omni channel strategy, right? So when you do hear the word omni channel, what's the one thing that you're not looking to actually change for your brand, right? What's that one thing you'd like to retain while going offline as well, or while going into the omni channel strategy? Would you like to go first, Rishi?
So, thanks, Devyakshi. When we shift from where we are, and I'm going to talk of early D2C brands and how it was before. Early D2C brands focused a lot on two things. One was, customer acquisition. Two is storytelling. And along the way, how things have transformed, and that's not really enough today. We as brands, when we make that shift from to into the D2C space, we need to also build a lot of, there's a lot of, I would say, customer loyalty, customer recognition. We need to, build that faith in our customers as we make the shift.
I'll double down on the brand loyalty part there, but yeah, we'd love to hear from Harshit on this first.
So I think definitely shifting from D2C. I mean, D2C is everywhere, right? Omni-channel, irrespective. Even like a lot of D2C founders talk about now quick commerce coming in. Quick commerce is also like a modern retail now. So I think one thing which we probably now, since we are expanding our offline space, one thing which we already kind of taken a headspace that keeping in mind obviously the price sensitivity, and obviously the other thing is like bringing those kind of SKUs, like even if you go to tier 2, 3 cities and expanding there, bring special SKUs for those kind of places, so that there's no fight between all the omni channels with respect to one product, different pricing. It's better to kind of make different products, keeping brand ethos and all the other things same, but kind of switching the SKUs so that it becomes a bit easy and smooth to enter into the omni channel perspective.
Yeah. So my view is that customer is already omni-channel, by the way. Okay. So what is happening? Like, just if you look at a customer journey across brands, across everything, someone looks at a product on a market on a Instagram, for example, then he goes on the marketplace and searches for it. Then he decides that okay, I will go to mall and buy it. Then he goes and buys at the mall. Then he comes back, maybe get a gift card of loyalty, and then he continues buying online from the same merchant or brand. So today, from D2C to omni-channel is not a channel strategy. It's fundamentally how you are owning the customer fundamentally for the brand. So my view is that it is the most obvious thing that is happening as we speak. So the world is omni-channel. It's just that how quick you adapt to it.
I'd love to add to what he just said because I see now customers are not distinguishing between online and offline anymore. They are looking for one seamless experience across every touch point. So as we make the shift, we have to ensure that the customer is feeling that at every touch point, whether it's on the website, whether it's on the app, whether it's an offline, kiosk, pop-up, whatever it may be. It has to be one consistent experience across all touch points.
Absolutely. That's we've touched the right chords here. That you just mentioned that the customer has completely gone from online to offline to a quick commerce to your Instagram to a Facebook advertisement, right? So the brand really has to put in efforts to put a very unified front across all the touch points. So I think it's safe to ask you guys, what are you in each of your brands trying to build to keep that unified front for your customers, so that no matter if they're on an Instagram or a Facebook page or on your website or they've seen your product at an offline store, how are you ensuring that a unified front's being presented for your brand for the customer? You want to go first, Rishi?
Yeah. So I think the communication and the positioning of the brand needs to be same across channels, because that's how consumer, like we all are consumers, right? That's how a consumer resonates with respect to that. Yes, I saw this particular product or a brand on Insta. Then I was also retargeted through some, retargeting platforms. Then I spilled over and kind of went to Amazon, but and then I did not buy it because the delivery time was 24 hours. I wanted that in, let's say, 15 minutes. I went to Blinkit, Zepto, or in Instamart, and I saw it there and I bought it from there. I think the whole story around the positioning of the brand needs to be unified, like has to be something which is common across everywhere. Because otherwise, if you're talking something on Insta, showing something else on Amazon, and then delivering something else on any quick commerce platform, I think the customer tends to drop out.
No, absolutely. But if we could just double down on that in your apparel category, you're primarily working on the innerwear category. So how have you seen that category evolve? This was not something that was really spoken out about, in the public area. It was always a very offline heavy category where customers were not talking about it. So maybe in the last 5 years or the last decade, how have you seen this evolve, and how did you kind of imbibe this in your brand building?
So I think the D2C evolved over the last 6-7 years, right? And it was not just innerwear. I think across anything from skincare to innerwear or to anything, right? So having said that, definitely. But now people have started talking about it, right? Gone are those days when people was just believing on daddy's old brands like Jockey,
Yep. Agreed.
Van Heusen or stuff like that. Men and women both, right? I think now the consumer have changed, and they anyways they wanted something new. Now they talk about it. They can, like, they actually, so some of our business part online comes from referral codes, right? So actually someone bought it and kind of telling his or her friend, saying, hey, you know what, I bought this underwear, and kind of, why don't you buy it out? So I that has evolved. Having said that, thanks to all the content creators, right? And thanks to all inclusivity and stuff that is happening, that has changed the whole Indian perspective, like over the last 7-8 years. And that has helped us and to communicate, like from our side as well, to communicate it so openly and confidently with bold images, with bold content and stuff. I think that has changed the overall perspective of a consumer. They talk about it. In fact, very surprising fact that whenever we do a session with, let's say, some set of consumers, like some cohort of consumers, like वो suggest करते हैं यार ये नहीं ये कलर लेके आओ, कलर में ना इस कलर को आप blend करके लेके आओ. I think that is, I think it has helped every D2C brand or every D2C category, I must say. But yes, innerwear is something now people talk. Shapewear, for example, imagine, right? Shapewear is something which is the talk of the town now, right? कोई बात नहीं करता था, right? Again, fun fact is, women से ज़्यादा men shapewear में आज के time पर लोग बात करते हैं. Yeah, I imagine. So I think that's how the industry has evolved.
Interesting. And I think, Rishi, we'd love to hear from you. How are you seeing this in the fragrance category?
So, taking a cue from what Harshit just mentioned, we actually dived out and diversified into a perfume collection just about 4 months ago, which is called Scentitude by Arome. And we launched 6 variants. And now, again, see, we are known as a brand that deep dives into brand stories, brand ethics, brand values, and then curates a fragrance note by note. So how did we bring that in terms of the perfume collection also is something very interesting. First, we launched it with a very immersive perfume vending machine. So we, like, Harshit just said, we wanted to know what consumers want. We want to understand what they want. We just don't want to do what we think is right. So we launched a perfume vending machine. We launched our 6 variants through that and got feedback. We started getting feedback from various places where we installed our first machine in the Geo World Drive Mall in BKC. And we just continuously for 2 months took feedback, and we got people to tell us, okay, this is good, this is not good, this is more of what we want. I think you should inbuild this in your next collection. And that's how we are now putting together our next collection basis exactly what consumers want. So it's very intricate that how you can balance between what you're trying to build and also what consumers want to see and feel and receive. So we've been working on that in that way.
Got it. No, super interesting, and would love to actually see how the next launch of your perfume line actually looks like. But no, Pratish, I'd like to understand from you, right? They're more brand centric, and they really want to hear from their customers. How are you seeing this play out at the payments front?
So, first and foremost, when we look at brands, when we work with brands, we see two things. And as rightly mentioned by Harshit also, he talked a lot about the pre-sales phase. When someone is going to buy, how is it the same experience at the time of buying the product? But in a brand, there are two things. One is the sales aspect, the branding, the communication aspect, and then the experience and the friction aspect. So I will explain the experience and the friction aspect. For example, someone is going to buy a mobile phone, for example, and he looks for that mobile phone on Amazon, okay? And he finds out that there's a cashback that will come on an EMI, affordability, and he looks at it and decides that this will cost me around 60K odd, and he thinks of buying it. But he goes to a neighborhood shop, and there the guy says that, okay, I don't have a cashback. That cashback will come after 3 months. And that's the time when a friction comes, because the guy has come purposely out in the market to buy it. So what happens that kind of differentiation in experience disturbs the brand imagery altogether. So what we have been working very diligently on the point that how can we make the checkout flows and the experiences in the offer engines, be it on a brand website, the D2C website, be it on a marketplace like Amazon, Flipkarts of the world, and be it on the POS machine within the offline store. All three unified in the same manner, be it the checkout experience, be it the payments, be it the acceptance of payments from different modes. So how can you create that? So our journey is to reduce the friction for the brand, to bring consistency in the last mile. And that is something which we have been working diligently across. And the more my co-panelists, the more you will move towards the offline side of the business, you will realize to mirror image online is itself a huge task. And that will come diligently from making the experience of the customer after walking in the store also beautiful. So different take, but yeah.
No, got it.
This is
Please.
something I'm going to keep in mind, Pratyusha. We are now looking at building concept stores for Arome in another year's span, where a customer walks in and AI is going to generate your signature scent basis a few inputs from you, and how it's an entire concept store based. It's not a product. It's the experience, and AI will generate your entire signature scent for you, and you can take it back with you in different applications. That's something I'm going to keep in mind.
So love the pointer that you have a clarity on you want to do a concept store. Generally, people see offline as just a store count or a store opening. They do not understand and think that why are they going to open a store? Are they going to open a store for experience, for sales, for trust, for a concept proof piece? So that is the amount of clarity that is must required. And congrats on that clarity.
Thank you, brother.
No, so I agree that we're going more towards the offline part, right? But I think I'd like to ask Harshit this. In your category specifically, right, how do you usually balance out the purchases happening through your website versus a marketplace? Because marketplaces, again, there's a certain brand conversations that you drive for the customer to come to your website, but eventually someone does get lost to a marketplace or a third party. So how are you as a brand balancing that out?
So I think from day one had this ethos, अपनी दुकान होती है, बाकी सारे malls हैं, right? But problem is that mall में दुकान होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, right? Because the visibility and everything, what Amazon, Flipkart, all those channels give is something which probably one should never shy away in kind of dealing with them. I know some brands, and there are some brands who are like only D2C, right? But that's an attitude what a founder or a team has to kind of take on. कि अपनी दुकान ही बनानी है और कुछ नहीं करना, irrespective. But then I see they lose a bit of chunk of consumers and to kind of grow rapidly, I would say. Having said that, we were a D2C first, but we are a COVID birth brand, right? But eventually we were on all the marketplaces. Having said that, brand is built on your own web store, right? Otherwise, you are a seller on the marketplaces. You are not a brand on marketplaces. The kind of communication, the kind of persona, the positioning, because आपके वेब स्टोर पे जब कोई ऑर्डर करता है तो डेटा तो तभी आता है, अदरवाइज तो कहीं से डेटा नहीं आता है, राइट? Like otherwise I cannot reach to any consumer, right? And it's in a D2C world, you have to be in talking terms with your consumers, right? Otherwise you will not be able to kind of do a new product development. You'll not be able to kind of hear what is the consumer's feedback and that. So I think that's something we've been able to kind of manage it pretty well. Almost our web store business is about 35% of our overall journey, which was eventually around 15-17% or so. But now, like this financial year, we've taken a target that probably we'll keep it at about 45%, 40-45%. But knowing the fact the quick commerce journey is growing, so the share might hover around 35-40%, because the quick commerce, like the chunk is like he mentioned, customer एक ही है, is just वो अलग-अलग जगह पे shift हो रहा है. जो Amazon से खरीद रहा था आज Blinkit से खरीद रहा है, जो Flipkart से खरीदा था शायद वो Zepto से या Instamart से खरीद रहा है. But yes, with very strong ethos, web store is something which we do not compromise on with anything, whether it's whether it comes on delivery, whether it comes on the new product launches. तो simple rule है, कोई भी नया product launch हो रहा है पहले web store पे होएगा, एक महीने बाद देखेंगे market places पे कैसे हो रहा है या quick commerce पे कैसे जा रहा है. But D2C first is something which we always kind of see.
Maybe tell us about one or two examples where you've actually, tried different experiences only to retain the customers online on your website. Of course, launches is one that you mentioned, but what else?
So I think referral is something which is which worked pretty well in our category, as in the innerwear category. Like you refer, you get discount. The person who you're referring to, they gets a discount. And the other things, let's say जब quick commerce इतना था नहीं, इतना क्या था ही नहीं, तो same day delivery was something through certain cities like Delhi NCR, Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune really worked for us, right? I've worked for any D2C brand कि अभी ऑर्डर करो, सुबह कर रहे हो 12 बजे से पहले आपको सेम डे मिल जाएगा, kind of a quick com model at that point in time, right? I think that has helped. Other than that, launches everything. You're absolutely right. Other than that, कुछ ऐसी चीज़ कोई बहुत ही solid deal दे रहे हो, not just discounts, even anything you're giving a freebie or anything that pertains to only our web store. Though there is a capability to do the same thing on Amazon as well, but we don't do that. वो अपनी शॉप पे हम लोग करने में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टेड रहते हैं. And we have done certain products which are only exclusive to web stores. You can't find it anywhere else, and you will not even find it anywhere else. Maybe a special color, like for a date night innerwear, this is some color is there, which is only on the web store and nowhere else.
Right. And you mentioned quick commerce, right? How have you seen the shift happen in quick commerce? Do you also do specific SKUs for quick commerce?
Yeah. We do. मतलब, I would not shy away in saying that proudly we have built the quick commerce category of innerwear, especially if I talk about Blinkit. Like we were one of the first ones to kind of, obviously after Jockey, we were the first ones to kind of get listed on Blinkit. And that point in time, जब Blinkit भागता था कि आ जाओ, अब तो brands भागते हैं और Blinkit दूर भागता है, right? So I think we came from that era. By the way, surprising fact, Blinkit kind of closed almost this category at about 400 crores last year, right? And I'm talking about only innerwear. I'm not talking about a t-shirt or any other accessory, right? Doubling down, I think, this year. So yes, the shift has happened. We have done some exclusive products only for Blinkit or a Zepto or an Instamart, largely for Blinkit or Zepto. Just on the, like, I'm sure you know, like everyone knows, क्विक कॉमर्स का सिर्फ सर्च इंजन से चलता है. जो सर्च हो रहा है, they want that product in their on their app. It's a very heavy ops driven business, cash flow driven business, but I think it's the need of the hour. If you are not there, then I think you're losing something.
Absolutely. I think
So ironically, Harshit, quick commerce was something that we never explored earlier. And pretty much most of our sales is through our website. About almost 60% of our sales is through our website. And I've been pushing my team. I said, let's go out there. Let's go on marketplaces. Let's go on quick commerce. And when we explored that, we were pleasantly surprised. And here we are, we're bringing you a product which you can take to your home and create a signature scent for your home. And, all we did was we went out there and we said, okay, you have a party, this evening, get your home scented the way you like. And then, with a string of options, and it really worked for us. Or, you have your car smelling in a certain way, pick up our car diffuser, one of its kind, motion sensor, it's called the Aerosonic. And we saw great traction. So it works, it's a great place to be. And it's again how you balance it, your website versus marketplaces. And marketplaces get you the reach. Marketplaces get you geographic locations which you are not in. But like he said, apna dukan hota hai, and your website is what builds the customer loyalty.
I think one thing with this whole, the ecosystem जैसे change हो रहा है, right? Consumer shifting from an offline store, let's say from offline of any other brand, going to the online of that brand, then going to a marketplace of that brand, but now going to quick commerce of that brand. Largely feel, like I said, there was a time when, D2C was only D2C, like .com or .in, whatever. But I think a lot of the whole attitude has changed, for founders or the management or stuff, that कि जहाँ customer है वहाँ पर जाना ही जाना है. और आई थिंक वो ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि वो नहीं होएगा तो आई थिंक like someone else will win the race. So I think that's very much required.
Yeah, I think you touched an important point there, right? That the customer will just is moving from one platform to another. So I think I'll ask Pratyush this: that how are you seeing, you know, technology at your core retain these customers at different platforms?
See, the customer is one entity. Okay, if you look at a customer, whether he's buying from an e-commerce platform, in his case, obviously perfumes is a different category altogether because it moved from B2B to B2C. So it's a different category. But in general, the customer is one entity. He was buying on offline store. Now he's moving to this. So we try to make a payment solution so that we can track not the overall volume, but also the how the customer is moving. The problem that comes across that, as he rightly mentioned, apna dukan hai, because the data is with you. The data to play with the customer, data to know that which market share, which product, to know the behavior of the transaction, at what time is he buying, is it an impulse purchase, is it a night purchase, is it a day purchase, at what time he is buying it fundamentally. That information also gives, which all data is blanketly not available when it comes to a quick commerce or a platform. So a proper blend of which is required, that you cannot leave your shop, you cannot leave quick commerce, you have to properly blend it. The second thing comes that here comes a lot of action for us fundamentally, because we are sitting with a lot of data within that ecosystem, category, and everything. So we work with a lot of these things to ensure that the category gets the right insight. So we work with a lot of brands to give them insights that how can we help you to know exactly on the quick commerce platform how much the sales is happening. Like you mentioned about Blinkit having doing 400 crores of sale. Let me tell you that the last 3 times I have bought on Blinkit. Okay, very bluntly. I used to be an offline customer, now I'm a Blinkit customer. Okay, so we try to give you that insight that how is your portfolio moving? Is the premium base of this in a certain price range? What is the transaction happening in a certain category? And those kind of insights we try to help our merchants with, so that they can take the right decision whether it is helping or not. Because many times what happens that you think that your volume is coming, but the premium products are going down. A date night product would be a premium product. If that's not selling on quick commerce, then there is a genuine problem. Probably, I am just guessing it.
Yeah, but I think there's one thing for sure. Like date night innerwear was an example for
Yeah.
But मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि every platform has its own potential
Yeah.
for their own particular SKUs.
Yeah.
Like for example, forget innerwear. Any product, आप perfume ले लो, कोई भी ले लो. अगर फ्लिपकार्ट की एक ऑडियंस टियर 2 या 3 सिटीज़ की है, तो not necessary that they will buy a product for, let's say, which is for a 2000 rupees, for example. Every channel has a potential of a price bracket, and basis that a product is being kind of, you know, not necessary कि एक ही product या एक ही SKU या एक ही pack, let's say, for example, in our case, on our web store, a pack of 7 is a hit. A pack of 5 is the next hit, irrespective men or women. But on a Blinkit, a pack of 3 is a hit. On Zepto, a pack of 2 is a hit. On Flipkart, a pack of 3 is a hit, right? So I think it's just कि किस consumer का क्या potential है price bracket का. Quick commerce purely different because it's an impulse. अभी चाहिए underwear, right? तो 2 का मिल रहा है, ठीक है. एक का ही क्या ही करूँगा या करूँगी, क्योंकि एक तो चलो 2 तो मंगवा ही लेते हैं. Largely in bunch it comes, right? But yes, हर platform का different थोड़ा सा scenario रहता ही रहता है.
So completely agree. What I was trying to frame it out, that if you look yesterday years also, when I'm talking 20 years ago, when modern trade malls have come new, even at that point, this conflict was कि kirana store will go away, offline will come into. So if you look at the companies like HULs and the Asian Paints of the world, they built their GTM just like in a fashion so that they can be present everywhere, and they worked on the strengths of across. So what I was trying to say very clearly, that you have to be present across, but for insights purposes, for data purposes, you have to be dependent on your own store, and then a couple of other fintechs who knows about the transaction data and everything on the other platforms. You need to take category inputs from there, and then your holistic plans will come across. So that's my overall view on how this will trend across. A lot of fintech, a lot of delivery partners that exist today, they would have far more richer insights than they used to have.
True that, Pratyush, and I think that's we can safely say that omni-channel today is not just about distribution expansion. It's about your customer feeling the same consistent experience at every touch point along the journey. You know, no matter where he's purchasing from.
I will give you a small example. When you buy on Amazon and there is an interest of, say, 16% interest that would be given to you back, that Amazon was the first in India to ensure that that goes back instantly. When you go to the offline stores or even the D2C brand stores, because the banks would give that interest money returned after 3 months, so customers, banks, and all these omni-channel D2C players, couple of years back, used to play after 3 months. Then a product of instant cashback came into picture with people like us, typically Pine Labs. And now you see that even the D2C brands, even the smallest of the websites, an offline store, a Kirana store, everyone is giving an instant cashback. So that parlance and that equality is something that will drive and come in the marketplace altogether. And that's true omni-channel that will come in the picture soon, is already in the picture.
Absolutely. I think one thing I'd like to double down now on is the customer retention part, right? Given that Rishi, you will now go down the D2C route, and Harshit's already been going down the D2C route. Now he's going to go offline. So maybe Harshit, you could share some insights with us on how the D2C side has been for you, which Rishi could further just throw some light on, or maybe certain challenges that you're facing right now going from the B2B mindset to a D2C mindset.
Are you talking about only on the retention part, or it's like there's the journey from on a
The journey
D2C?
as well as the retention, right?
So I'll take the retention part first. Retention is जितना वो easy word देखने में लगता है, उतना मुश्किल काम है. And I think retention is equal to data. जितना data आप grind करोगे, उतना ही retention का उतना I think उतना ही आपको fruitful results मिलेंगे, right? And these days retention is all what? WhatsApp marketing, email marketing, text message, app push notification and stuff like that, or a coupon, or a retention coupon inside the packaging, which is being inside an order which you've just received or something like that, right? So couple of things what we also kind of realized ki, like I'll give you an example, and I'm sure a lot of D2C founders do that and the team does that. आज हमारे को ये पता है, हार्ड टू से बट या आई थिंक वी आर इन दैट कैटेगरी कि रजौरी गार्डन दिल्ली में, रजौरी गार्डन में कौन से पिन कोड के कौन से ब्लॉक में कौन सा प्रोडक्ट कौन से कलर का कौन से साइज का ज़्यादा सेल होता है, राइट? बेसिस दैट वी डू आर रिटेंशन मार्केटिंग. Like again an example, deep down an insight which we were also surprised of, that like जब हमने, if we are sending a retention message to a consumer based in Haryana, we used Haryanvi language. The moment we used a local language, the conversion, first of all, the opening rate was much higher as per the, like even more than industry standards, right? Just because that consumer could connect with that messaging, right? फिर दूसरा फैक्ट फन ये है कि ओपन तो कर लिया, उसके बाद जब वो पेज पे आया कंज्यूमर, जब उसने देखा अच्छा डिस्काउंट कोड क्या यूज़ करना है, वो डिस्काउंट कोड भी हरियाणवी लैंग्वेज में लिखा हुआ है, राइट? इट्स जस्ट दैट वर्कड फॉर अस. लाइक मतलब जितना डीप जाएंगे डेटा में उतना ही रिटेंशन काम करती है. विंटर्स आते हैं, सो इनफैक्ट वी हैव डन सर्टन, लाइक वी सेल थर्मल्स इन विंटर्स, राइट? अगर हम सोलन में कहीं पर या हिमाचल में कहीं टेम्परेचर सडनली बढ़ रहा है, तो हम वो मैसेजिंग यूज़ करते हैं कि यार कल आपके वहाँ पर टेम्परेचर इतना था, आज इतना हो गया है. वो तो सबके लिए सेम है, दिख रहा है ऑनलाइन. तो वहाँ से कन्वर्जन्स बढ़ जाती हैं, वहाँ से कस्टमर दोबारा परचेज करता है. दिस इज़ ऑन द रिटेंशन पार्ट. And I'm sure while going from an offline to, I think the digital journey, whether it's a small set, whether it's a set of like 100 consumer or 100,000 consumers, I think the more you go in the data, right? The only challenge is because offline करते हैं तो आपको सामने आप इंसान को ऐसे, मतलब it's like shop, दुकान है ना, offline में तो आप हाथ पकड़ के रोक भी सकते हो, अरे भाई ये वाला परफ्यूम नहीं दूसरा ले ले यार, बट ऑनलाइन में नहीं पकड़ सकते हाथ, ये प्रॉब्लम है. आई थिंक बट देर आर मेजर्स, देर आर टूल्स विच प्रॉब्ली हेल्प्स यू build that kind of a journey for a consumer that hey, don't go, have this, try this, or if not this kind of a perfume or a pack of this, try a smaller pack at a certain price. I think that helps in kind of doing a better conversion on the online journey. I think.
So that's exactly what we've been doing, Harshit, with our B2B business. We are a subscription based model, right? So if we are servicing a hotel, if we are servicing a mall, it's a monthly subscription, with a 3 yearly contract that we take on. Now, when we got into the D2C space, we launched a device for homes, we launched a device for cars. Yes, we have been sending push messages that you may be low on your refills for home, and you might be needing it anytime. So we send out that push message, and yes, it converts. It converts to a large, order. And same with the car. You may be running low on your refills for your car cartridges, and we hope your car's not smelling too bad. And that there it is. We get the refills for the car orders as well. But then we went beyond that thinking, and we said, okay, how much are we going to depend on these push messages and get people to, how much are we going to push messages? People get nagged. कि ये ज़्यादा हो रहा है. So we said, okay, why not create a subscription model for homes and cars, the devices that we're selling to D2C, that okay, if you buy a 12-month refill, these are the advantages you get. Or we can bundle and create a whole different set of fragrances for you at a certain discounted price, and that worked. People want that extra discount, people want that extra edge, people want, okay, ठीक है, मैं 12 महीने का रिफिल ले लेता हूँ, आज ही ले लेता हूँ, चलो. मैं 6 महीने का कार का रिफिल ले लेता हूँ, यूज तो करना ही है, मैंने डिवाइस ले लिया, I spent 20-30,000 on a device, now I have to buy the refills, let me buy it today. So these are things also that we worked on, that how do we keep our customers with us, how do we keep our customers loyal to us. We don't want the guy going outside and picking up fragrance from any random place and filling it in our machine, which might spoil the machine. So retain him for a longish period, put in subscription models, keep checking on him, and we have a service network across the country today. So we also, offer that extra edge. Okay, we'll send in a technician, to service your machine for you free of cost. Constant touch and constant hammering with your D2C customers also.
Rishi, if you've cracked subscription in your space, I think you've cracked the game, because there are many businesses in US or in UK which are just built on subscriptions. Unfortunately, India में subscription model खास चलता नहीं है. In I'm sure different categories में अगर आप average out करो, and especially with this now UPI mandate and stuff like that. But I think there are brands who are built overnight just on subscription basis. That's the best strategy for any in retention. Because आपको तो lifetime value customer की देखनी है कि वह साल में इतना उसका purchase होना चाहिए. I think that's something which, if that's being done beautifully, I think there's no limit to that. I think we failed, to be honest, but it'll be great if that's being cracked.
Harshit, there was always a doubt that will this subscription model work in D2C or no. What you're saying is absolutely correct, because B2B to hai hi. The hotel needs the fragrance 12 months of the year, the mall needs the fragrance, the retail store needs the fragrance. But when we attempted this, it worked. It worked. People said, yeah, we'll buy 6 months refill now.
Very nice.
You got to use the device.
So, Harshit, just to tell that in Pine Labs, roughly 1 million plus merchants are on monthly subscription. So just to give you an idea, retention is a problem we also deal with. And when you go offline, the retention becomes even bigger a problem challenge, because you don't have so many data points, but still a lot of data points are present. Now we have moved categorically completely to AI for retention, and the data churning and the data modeling that they do is far more than what any human can do. So when you were saying your pointers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pointers, that this comes from a Haryanvi language, this pin code, this geography, this everything. So what we have found that the moment you put an AI systems to these things, then today we work on roughly around 200 to 300 data points for ensuring that there is no churn. And that is the power, I think, that will go across all the businesses as AI takes over a lot of things. So I think that retention is one place where AI will become very dominant in nature and help a great deal to retain the merchants, because customers and merchants, both in our case merchants, we are literally seeing a lot of data centers, a lot of companies coming across that also.
No, interesting. Yeah, I think very well put that if somebody has cracked the subscriptions part in the Indian market, has definitely hit some gold mine. But how did you face any challenges for getting the subscription part to implement in the D2C side? Uh, just how did you kind of, come out the top for this particular part?
You know, Divyakshi, when we launched these D2C products, I was not seeing much traction, as much as I would see in my B2B space. And I said, how much push messaging is going to happen? How much is, I mean, how much can you WhatsApp market? How much can you do? And we did all of it, but it didn't really show us what we wanted to see. I wanted this to become a vertical by itself, just like my B2B is. And surprisingly, when we attempted it, we saw, somebody wants to pick up a gourmand fragrance, for Christmas, but he wants to pick up a white floral fragrance for Diwali, and they want to keep it all in stock to use it, selectively and for celebrations, and this for this and this for that, and it worked. We bundled different products together. In fact, now we're even cross-selling. If somebody is buying my home device, we are giving them an offer on the car device. That okay, you want your home to smell good, but you also might want your car to smell nice as well. So we're cross-selling. We're doing that. We're building product against product, and it works.
Great. No, perfect. So that's your journey from the B2B to the D2C side, and that's Harshit's journey from the D2C side. Now you're looking to go offline, Harshit. I'd love to understand how are you thinking about it? Are you planning on just doing the quick com which you were already doing, or are you also planning to go the offline route, stores, shop and shop?
So, QuickCom will be like 3 to 4x. I mean, we have just scratched the surface, to be honest. Because if you'll see, every other day a new dark store is getting opened. And it's not just for Blinkit now, it's for now Flipkart Minutes also.
Even Amazon.
Right? Even
Yeah.
Amazon now also, Myntra now, blah, blah, blah. There are couple of recently funded D2C startups of, they are doing fashion in 60 minutes, right? So वो भी अपने अपने डार्क स्टोर्स खोल रहे हैं. So I think मेरे को तो ऐसा लगता है, and I'm sorry because I'm more of a D2C guy now. आज के टाइम पर किसी को अपना ऑफलाइन धंधा बनाना है, वो क्विक कॉमर्स से बहुत आसानी से बना सकता है. बिकॉज जो आप अवेलेबिलिटी और सप्लाई चेन या whatever you will do for your own either an EBO, खुद का आउटलेट
Right.
या शॉप इन शॉप या कुछ करोगे, वो आप क्विक कॉमर्स के साथ कर सकते हो. बिकॉज द कंज्यूमर इज शिफ्टिंग टुवर्ड्स दैट. बी द जितना रिमोट एरियाज में आज क्विक कॉमर्स है, वहाँ पर आपको करने के लिए द काइंड ऑफ केपेक्स व्हाट यू नीड इज समथिंग. So it's better to kind of ride on someone else's money who's kind of building it and burning billions of dollars, and kind of you ride there. But having said that, so that's something which probably is on the cards for sure, to kind of doubling, tripling down the quick commerce journey. The other thing is we will probably, like Jockey has more than 15,000 stores, right? In fact, more than that. So we probably will not invest in kind of having our own exclusive outlets. I think that's A, capex heavy. B, I think you need much more assortments or SKUs to have your own store, right? Because our bread and butter is innerwear, right? So other than that, I think shop in shop is something which isn't very, which is a new thing, which is less capital intensive, which is more of a brand building as well activity, which eventually helps you build your online presence and online sales as well. So we have done like 4 or 5 trials in tier 2 cities. So again, surprisingly, our now, like when I started, our 75% plus business was from tier 1. Now it's 55% is tier 2 and 3, right? This is the whole shift that has happened over the last 5-6 years, and probably across. आप किसी भी D2C brand से कोई भी करेंगे तो I think tier 2, the real aspirational consumer is sitting in tier 2 and 3 cities, not in tier 1, right? So I think we are going in those areas where our online business is heavy, so that A, brand building ज़्यादा होएगी, so that brand trust ज़्यादा होएगा, availability ज़्यादा easy हो जाएगी, and that's how we are moving towards. Yes, we also plan to have a couple of our own brand outlets, but I think that will be more of an like for example Khan Market में एक अच्छा सा छोटा सा experiential store where you come, because we do different fabrics, right? We don't do regular fabrics, right? So you come and see the products, not necessarily you purchase it from there. Come and experience the fabric, see how the story, which is how के fabric यहाँ आया कैसे. I think that way we are kind of going ahead, keeping in mind that not losing the grip on the quick commerce business.
I think experiential stores, Harshit, what you mentioned, is the way forward. You know, people when they see what you're building, how you're building, what you have to offer, I think that's great because we're doing the same. We're building India's first experiential center, an experience lab sort of a thing within our headquarters in Mumbai, where somebody can come in, you know, smell the raw materials, smell each and every single note. We're going to take them through an audio visual, sensorial, an entire 360-degree sensorial approach on how we curated what we curated for you. And you know, you'll be looking at visual, you'll be hearing the sound of the fragrance, and you'll be smelling it. So experiential lab stores, if you're going that route, I think it'll be very, very interesting for a consumer to, you know, connect with your brand.
Absolutely. I think experiential is the way forward for today's customer, right? And that's exactly what they're looking for from each and every brand out there. But I think I'll just try to wrap this up. So I think, Pratyush, I'll ask you one question, right? Given the whole experiential phase that now the brands are entering in and the customers wanting, what kind of trends are you seeing given that you're the data master? So maybe some trends which we don't know about yet, or we just love to get that insight from you.
When you were talking about experiential stores, I was actually smiling a little bit because that's the trend. You start with a D2C, you go to a marketplace, you go to an experiential store, you think that I should put kiosks somewhere, which is self-centered and AI-generated kiosks in some of the master places. Then you think that I should put a small number of stores in the premium outlets. Then you start expanding. And that's not the story that today exists. It is the story of evaluation of a lot of brands across the globe that we have seen. And that's what it speaks for us. And that's why, in fact, we run a GTM program, Catch Them Early. So we say that when a D2C brand opens their first store, we should be the player for them. Because we know that the moment they have cracked D2C, their CACs are in control, then only they are going for an experience center. Soon their CACs will, on this P&L, will also start looking beautiful and they will start expanding. For example, when it was Bonkers, Mokobara, each of these merchants, we were the first payments partner for them. Snitch, Newme, all of these. And so we know the trend fundamentally, and I'm smiling because this is a signal that your P&Ls are good and healthy. So that's my take on this, that it's a journey. The same journey whatsoever has happened on the HUL side of the world, Asian Paints of the side also. They had a similar journey across. The D2C is also following a similar curve. What will happen? The different business units will start coming, and there's a limit to which you can have a CAC going up, okay, on the D2C side. So this offline will become a growth engine for them. And the important thing is that how do you put an organizational capability across all levels? Because the moment you will start going for a conceptual store or a experimental store, what you will start feeling that, okay, my online site is not that great. I should improve it so that it gives the similar smell, fragrance, and everything. And the moment you get into that trap of comparing every aspect of it, you will start a little bit moving here and there. So the beautiful thing is that every aspect is separate, just like every channel. And I see it very clearly. In a couple of years, you would have, say, a 50 or a 70 outlets, while your D2C brand as a separate P&L growing very beautifully. That would be a good success metric, I believe. And looking at all the D2C brands which I work with. Okay.
Perfect. So I think we'll do the rounds for the last question. So starting from you, Rishi, something that you're most excited about in the new D2C journey for your brand, Aromi.
Something I'm extremely excited about is something that I've been working on for the past year and a half with neuroscientists from the University of Geneva. We've been working on understanding brain movement and what part of the brain gets activated when we make you smell a certain fragrance note. Now, saying this, we have hard claims where we have tested certain notes over panels of 1,000, 1,200 people, where 70 to 80% have proved that, if we show you, if we make you smell this particular note, it's going to induce joy, it's going to induce happiness, it's going to induce calm, it's going to energize your level up, it's going to energize your level down, it's going to build your social confidence, and very many other things. So this is something we're launching in the next 3 months. It's called Arome Neuro, which NEWRO, which means neuroscience, and this is going to be in a lot of different applications. So one, EDPs to start with. So if you're stepping into a meeting, you want that self confidence, you can just spray it, and there are claims that says within 10 minutes you'll have your confidence levels up. We can induce sleep, we can induce calm, all of it. So EDPs, home fragrances, candles, reed diffusers, room surround sprays, every application, and also not only this will not only be D2C, we're going to also be pitching it to hotels, because hotels also want to go that extra mile now. They want to offer a certain edge to their guests. So it's going to be part of turn down processes in hotels in the evening, where the guests can decide how they want to feel. It's going to be part of spas across the biggest hotel chains. So this is something I'm very excited about and never been done before. Functional fragrances that actually work.
I don't think I've also heard of that, but I think the data points for this would be interesting for you, Pratyush.
No, I don't. I don't have a data point on this. I can tell what I am excited about, but definitely I have no data points on this. So, what we missed one aspect of it very soon that is coming across, and that keeps me excited, and we are working a lot on that, is agentic commerce. Today, no one is searching on Google. That's the reality. Okay, you'd be searching on a chat GPT and a Claude and everything. And just like D2C erupted, a lot of agentic commerce will start happening, where, just to give you an idea, I was reading some other day that in Alibaba, all B2B pricing negotiations are done by agents, not by humans. So that keeps me awake right now, that how does agentic commerce will come, how does agent will make an UPI payment to another agent, and all those things will happen, and which will drastically disrupt what we are doing on the D2C side, because the first one to get disrupted is basically the D2C side of the things. The second thing that keeps me excited is that while we were in the offline space pretty much an end-to-end player, in online, the checkout at least was not with us. We recently acquired Softflow, and now a lot of the D2C players who use Softflow would become our merchants, and we would try to see how do we bring a better omni-channel or a D2C to omni-channel movement for them also.
Great. I think Harshit, over to you for what you're the most excited about.
I think one thing is already talked about. In fact, US में तो chat GPT commerce शुरू कर ही दिया है, right? I think now is a phase wherein all D2C brands are now focusing on कि हमारा brand chat GPT से पहले कैसे आ जाए, right? Google पे आना है, chat GPT पे आना चाहिए. So anyways, so I love making new products. Not that I have any experience. I'm a regular MBA in marketing and stuff, but over the last 5-6 years, I think बहुत excitement हुई है नया product क्या develop करना है, and I talk to a lot of consumers, right? So anyways, very recently we launched. There's one new launch we're coming up with within this year in the innerwear category. First of its kind in India. I probably can't share much details as of now, but something that is related to astrology. And that's something what we are building. And within a quarter, I think the product should be out. Again, first of its kind in the world. The other thing what we recently launched, again, first of its kind in India for men and women both. It's called an Everyday Expression series. Like you have 7 days, 7 colors of underwear, 7 different colors, different packaging, kind of a nice portable travel packaging, and every underwear comes with a motivational quotation, right? Since an underwear is the first wear of your day, right? Even if you wear anything else before that, you wear underwear. So I think that's something we wanted to, like he talked about confidence, right? I wanted to kind of give an inner confidence. कि यार आप पहले जब when you are wearing an underwear, read the line what you are kind of wearing for that particular day. We launched that kind of touchwood. It has worked well for us, and now we're excited about the next product what we are launching.
Lovely. I think I've learned a lot through this panel. Now we'll just open it up to the audience if in case anybody has any questions. Please, could we have a mic over there for the gentleman?
Great discussion. Can you hear me? Yeah, great insights. So the first question is, people have a lot of ideas, but creating a D2C shop first, it takes a lot of effort. The 0 to 1 is like how to make people aware that this brand exists, shops exist. Marketplace, it's still easy. So how did you go about creating that initial awareness on your D2C channels about your product? How difficult was that? And second is, how do you maintain, say a person is online, then he goes to your store, then he's on quick commerce. Can you draw a line that this is the same guy? Are you connecting the dots somehow so that you can give an extra experience because you know the guy earlier from the other channel?
So, sir, to answer the second question first, mushkil hai. You can't kind of track the journey of a similar, like I can't track your journey on freeculture.com, on Amazon, on Blinkit or Zepto. I can track your journey with your consent on freeculture.com. But obviously, I don't know you. Like the system will not know. Sorry, I don't know your name. But the system will not know your name. But at least system will show us. It's called heat maps, right? They will show us कि ये जो consumer है पूरी वेब स्टोर पे कितना टाइम रहा, कहाँ गया, कौन से पेज से एग्जिट कर गया, कौन से पेज पर कितना परसेंटेज स्क्रॉल डाउन करा है, कितना परसेंटेज, कितना टाइम आपने स्पेंड करा है एक पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन पे पढ़ने के लिए, कितनी बार इमेजेस स्क्रॉल करी हैं, कितनी बार क्या करा है. दैट्स समथिंग, देयर आर ग्रेट टूल्स अवेलेबल टू ट्रैक दैट. बट आप कहाँ जा रहे हो वो नहीं ट्रैक कर सकते. दैट्स अनफॉर्चुनेट. टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन व्हाट यू, आई थिंक मुझे ऐसा लगता है मार्केट प्लेस से ईजी टू बिल्ड योर ओन शॉप, बिकॉज there are a lot of challenges in the initial phase to build your brand over marketplaces. You would have to spend much larger money on Amazon, Flipkart or Myntra of the world as compared to what you can spend on your own shop, right? Easy integrations are there. आप अपनी shop अगले आधे घंटे में बना सकते हो, right? And I think the first journey is something, you know, we are living in an era of content, right? So how you create that content and kind of publicly without even spending much money, you can, you know, you can tell, hey, you know what, this is my product, this is my shop, go on, check out. So that's what I was coming to, कि content is something जिसके through आप बहुत ज़्यादा awareness आज के time पर aware कर, you know, awareness आप create कर सकते हैं. Instagram पर, like all the other content driven platforms. I think that's something which, like, initially we did not do that, and that's one thing which I regret from day, you know, from now. वो एक आज के time, like there are brands who spend, I mean, very less money in a month and do decent sales just on Instagram shop, right? Unfortunately, India में Instagram shop सबके पास allowed नहीं है, but still Instagram के थ्रू, DM के थ्रू वो अपनी सेल्स करते हैं सिर्फ कंटेंट के हिसाब से. आई थिंक दैट्स समथिंग विच कैन डेफिनेटली हेल्प यू. एंड आज के टाइम पर तो फाउंडर्स आर इन द मार्केट्स टू काइंड ऑफ सेल देयर ओन प्रोडक्ट्स, राइट? देयर आर ब्रांड्स विच आर उनके जो ब्रांड एम्बेसडर्स हैं वो खुद फाउंडर्स ही हैं, राइट? एंड दे हैव डन बेटर थिंग्स, better, they have done better job as compared to brands who have not done that way, right? So I think वो एक थिंक कर सकते हैं ज़्यादा।
Yeah, we are our own content creators and our own influencers, and we're like a one-stop shop. And but just, I mean, great question, sir. Again, but how it's worked with us is, we luckily for us, what worked in our favor was we built a strong B2B brand, and then when we came D2C and we spoke content and we put out content there that you've smelt us at your favorite, store or mall or hotel, and people resonated with that okay, we smelt them at Bangalore airport, and okay, they must be good. So if they're launching a product for home, or if they're introducing a fragrance for cars, it must be good. So we brought out that story as well in that same space. Like, if you're sitting in your car in the morning, what do you need something that invigorates you, lifts you up, makes you feel alive. Similarly, when you've left your office in the evening, we need a fragrance that winds you down. So we brought in the story of the olfactive even there, and that worked in our favor.
Perfect. Are we taking any other questions? Okay, there's one
ma'am.
more. We'll make that the last one.
Hello everyone. My name is Atharv. I am currently building in the Martech space, where agentic AI and stuffs like bottom line can be catered to, not only the top line. I am particularly curious about like what exactly in the data fields you require to guess the profit from a particular channel. Like you have the data, heat maps, and everything to make decisions. You can put in to a Gen AI and give the like ask about what exactly to do and what decisions to make. But on the profit level, like the customer acquisition cost is rising platform wise currently in the D2C sector, and net ROAS is something which I am more concerned with. And there is coupon cannibalization also, which is there in the, if you see in the quick commerce side or the Swiggy side or the Zepto side. So I'm just curious to know, like, are you also discovering this part, like the bottom line of the balance sheet which is there? Are you catering to these decisions as well in considering your budget allocation, basically?
So we are an EBITDA positive company. We don't burn money. We make money from last 2 years now. I think 3 years now. And just because we were able to track from top to bottom, we were able to kind of do that. SKU, selling price versus COGS versus CAC versus all the other heads of cost. एक एक SKU का आज के टाइम पर हम like I'm telling about our journey. There was a time हमें लगता था माल बिक रहा है, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है. जब महीने के बाद बॉटम लाइन देखते थे, कह रहे यार ये तो नुकसान हो गया, right? But now every cost head is something which is being tracked on daily basis, even like twice a day as well. क्योंकि कैक तो से हर मिनट चेंज हो रहा है, राइट? कैक हर दिन नहीं चेंज हो रहा, हर मिनट चेंज हो रहा है. नेट रोआस, like a lot of people do not track paid to paid ROAS. A lot of people track blended ROAS, right? कि आज इतना पैसा खर्चा हुआ और इतना बिजनेस हुआ. लेकिन बहुत लोग ये नहीं देखते कि भैया बिजनेस जो हुआ है वो ऑर्गेनिकली कुछ तो लोग सर्च करके आए हैं ना आपका, वो ब्लेंडेड में चले जाता है. वी ट्रैक पेड टू पेड, वी ट्रैक ग्रॉस टू नेट, नॉट जस्ट ग्रॉस टू नेट सेल, ग्रॉस टू नेट ROAS एज वेल. बिकॉज ग्रॉस कभी दिखता है अच्छा 5 का ग्रॉस का ROAS है, वेरी नाइस, अरे वाह 5 ROAS है. बट आई थिंक जब वो जाके नेट आता है, नेट ऑफ वॉट एवर, नेट ऑफ टैक्सेस, नेट ऑफ रिटर्न्स, नेट ऑफ कैंसिलेशन, नेट ऑफ एवरीथिंग, आई थिंक दैट्स समथिंग विच वी ट्रैक. एंड नाउ we track it on Excel as of now. Now we're kind of taking it to an AI model wherein with the help of APIs, it will be like every second it will be changing. I hope you are doing that only.
Yeah, similar to that only. And also I'm working on payback period also. Like the LTV, CAC to LTV ratio is something which is like previous thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of brands जिनकी first transaction में profit बन जाता है. There are a lot of brands जिनकी first transaction में नहीं, 3 बार खरीदेगा कस्टमर तो प्रॉफिट होएगा. सो आई थिंक बहुत ज़रूरी है to track all those things.
Yeah, and if I am giving you a platform like this, would you be able to like do it on your own, or like
No, you can build it free for us. We'll take it, no problem at all.
Okay, sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. That's all for our panel today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.